So because this is such an important piece of what we do together a number of times throughout the year, we'd like to ask for as many groups as can to share some of your ideas on what you discussed around collaboration. I'll be bringing the mic to you so you'll be clear and we'll be able to hear you. Can we have, which group would like to begin?
Good morning. My team is from Brooklyn High School of the Arts, and what collaboration looks like at our school is on Wednesdays we have a common planning time, so the students are dismissed a little early on Wednesdays and we get to meet together. As a policy, the guidance counselors already go into the English classes and do workshops. It was usually about once a month or so. Now it seems to be weekly, but it's the same idea. So during the common planning time, we work together, we share experiences, and very often, I think to answer the last question, we do get assistance on how to work with difficult students, because I think that's what senior teachers could share with the younger teachers who are just coming on board or don't have that much experience. So that's what we think collaboration looks like at Brooklyn High School of the Arts.
Thank you.
We're from Brooklyn Generation High School, and collaboration at our school, we are going to be meeting during our common planning period. We're going to plan the advocacy lessons together twice a week. So the Tuesday will be for the college admissions process and information, and Fridays will be for the link lessons as far as planning and reflecting on how it's going and what we need to revisit and move forward with. Also, we track student engagement. Sometimes students check out. So through our scheduler, PeoplePath, and Google Docs, we'll be tracking student progress and engagement with our weekly anecdotals. And the student journals that they're going to be writing, we're going to be reviewing them and responding to them, giving them feedback as a team. So the same person wouldn't be responding to all of their journals. It would be from everyone on the team.
Thank you.
So we're with Kingsbridge International High School, and what collaboration looks like between teachers and counselors. Basically, we have weekly team meetings in which we discuss program goals, which most of you have already discussed in general. Meetings are weekly, and if there are any weaknesses with, let's say, certain students in their writing and so forth, to address the issue, almost like designing a plan or a treatment plan, if you will. And we measure it eventually.
The chart paper will remain up during lunch so we can take a look closely. More volunteers. I'll take a page from Andrew's book. Should we call them?
Hi. All right, so Leo and I are the only team members from our respective programs. So we're collaborating about collaboration. And we were talking about the advantages and disadvantages because we can't really make concrete plans without the rest of our team to collaborate. So let's go over the disadvantages first. First disadvantage of collaborating is it's so time consuming. Outside of everything else that we have to do, we have to meet with these people and talk to them. And sometimes we don't like the people that we have to meet with, which is another disadvantage. Another thing is it pulls on our passions. If we do like each other, we do meet with each other, we can get ourselves in such a whirlwind that we start having group think about things and start putting a blinder on different solutions that might be advantageous for the students. But if you notice, our advantages outweigh our disadvantages. An advantage is everybody on the team is on the same page. If Johnny Smartbutt comes up, Leo and I will say the same thing to Johnny Smartbutt and have the same consequence to Johnny Smartbutt. It has consistency across the board, which is pretty much the same thing. There's a continuity that, again, goes across program-wide. So the guidance counselor knows what the ELA teacher is, and she can pull that into what she's saying to the students and vice versa. important. If you're in a group and things aren't going well with your administrators, you can go as a group to your administrator and say, this is what's going on. Instead of one person being the squeaky wheel, it's a group of you having a movement. I found that's really, really valuable in a collaboration underneath an administrator. Really, between you and me, I think administrators should be here too.
We are.
Okay! Yay! So some people aren't though. My program isn't. Also, how we deal with the students is different for each teacher. So I'm going to react to certain students, or certain students are going to react to me a certain way, as opposed to Leo. So if I'm having a problem with a student and Leo isn't, Leo can talk to that student and say, hey, so Miss Trudeau, what's the deal between you and her? And then it's the same thing in the disadvantage as the advantage. It pulls on our passions, collaboration. I'm having a bad week in my math class, and I just wanted to get the whole linked program up. But Leo ELA is rocking, and he's going to say, come on, Trudeau, you can do it. Just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and next week is going to be much better. So that's the huge advantage to collaboration. Thank you.
Elizabeth will go to the mic to pass to the next group.
I really like pull on your passions. I'm going to take that with me. Thank you. So I, from Dreamyard High School in the Bronx, collaborated with two of my colleagues from Dreamyard, as well as a new colleague I met today from Morris High School, is not too far away from where we are. So we actually tried to tackle the problem hands-on outside. We were trying to figure out the math situation. We have a pretty funny situation in my school. We have kids who have taken the Algebra 2 class, but for some reason they failed the class, but managed to pass the Regents exam. And in order to be in the CUNY Link program, it's a math class, right? But these kids, they still need to take a math class, which they've already passed an exam, but they also need to take the CUNY Math Link class, which means they would be in two math classes, which causes a confusion. So we had to figure out what we were going to do. So the first thing we had to do was, I actually didn't know the name of the math class. I kept calling it Algebra 1. It's an Algebra 2 exam. And I kept saying it over and over, so they had to correct me over and over. So we had to align and synchronize our thinking so that we could be on the same page. And I think that generally speaking, when you have a meeting with people and you need to make sure everybody's on the same page. If you just start talking and talking and no one knows like where the same starting point is, you need to go back and make sure, okay, this is what we're talking about. You align, you synchronize your thinking. The next thing you need to do, because we have to do this for our school, we have to work out and negotiate, the time and logistics. Time is important. Time, you can't get back. Once you lose time, it's gone forever. So you must make sure time is used properly. It must be negotiated. It must be worked out collaboratively, and logistics as well, because logistics are important, especially when you talk about like scheduling in schools. We're trying to figure out how to schedule these kids who may need 2 math classes. We're trying to figure out how to schedule, a first-year teacher who may end up teaching one of these math classes. Scheduling must be planned together. Also must include planning time together. Most schools usually allow teachers who co-teach together to plan together, departments to plan together. But for example, with this LINK program, I'm going to have to be planning together now with guidance counselor in my school. So we have to figure out how that's going to work. Time. Also must take into consideration the personal lives of your colleagues. People have families, and that goes, the planning time. We were trying to figure out, would 8 to 8:30 work? Would 5 to 5:30 work? People have lives. You must consider that always. And people have children. People have elderly parents they must take care of. People have responsibilities. If you were to collaborate successfully, you must consider their personal lives. You're talking to a person. Professional, a colleague, yes, but a person. You must relay and loop in important information. Just as today in this meeting, in the beginning, we were asked to raise our hands who missed PDs this week, and they were looped in on things that they have missed. people will, their personal lives, their schedules, whatever it may be, may cause people to miss out on information. So you must relay and loop in information. And even for those who were at the PDs this week, and you heard the same thing again as people reintroduce themselves and reintroduce the program, it's fine, because even relaying and looping in information can also serve as a reminder. Sometimes you need reminders for, things that are important. Yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay, so we kind of added one party that I haven't heard much of yet, and that's our parents. So when we're collaborating, we mean students as educators, we're collaborating with our students, we're collaborating with ourselves, but we also need to include the parents, let them in on what's going on, explain what Lint is to them, the benefits out there, and then get them in to help out. So that's what we had that I haven't heard yet.
Thank you so much for all of your feedback. And again, we'll be taking the ideas that you shared today. And if you haven't shared, we ask that you post your chart paper ideas on any wall or glass surface so that we could look at them throughout lunch, but also we'll be collecting them and sharing those out to you. I'll be passing on the next activity to Monica.
Okay, so the next activity kind of came from two parts. We wanted to think about questions that students and other stakeholders within Lint are probably going to present to you as kind of like the frontline staff, the teachers and counselors, but then also on the other end, my work that I've done with Bridge and that I will do with the ambassadors, I'm very close to the students, even though there's just one line of staff dividing us. I'm very close to the students, so I often am hit with student questions. So most likely you will be hit with those same questions also during the school year, so we wanted to give everyone a time to kind of reflect on what are some questions that are probably going to come your way, but then at the end of it, start to kind of brainstorm the common language that we're going to use when responding to these questions, so that way students throughout all partner Lint high schools are receiving the same information and the same message. So we're very much looking at this activity as a phase 1. This is the part where we kind of just think about what are some possible questions that will arise from students, from other colleagues, from parents, and also some questions that you might have about the program, especially new high schools, right? And then when we come together again, now we can kind of start to develop what we're going to label as quote-unquote common language for the program, so then that way when explaining it and describing it, no matter the group, we're all on the same page. Does that make sense? So we passed around index cards that are at each table, so if you all can just take a minute to think about, sorry Lucia, questions parents might ask, questions students might ask, questions colleagues might ask, and questions that you might have as team members of this program, because we really view you as part of our team. Just write those out, you can talk within a group, and then we're going to have a quick share out before lunch.